This is 40, 2012, film synopsis by Zillur Movies Recapped. The movie begins with Pete, Paul Rudd, and Debbie, Leslie Mann, having intercourse within the bathe. Pete reveals that he took a Viagra capsule given to him by his good friend Barry, Rob Smigel. This enrages Debbie and so they cease. Debbie is angered that she is popping 40. Within the 5 years for the reason that earlier movie, Knocked Up, Debbie owns a boutique retailer with Daisy, Megan Fox, and Jodie, Charlene Yee, working for her. Pete owns his personal document label, along with his mates Ronnie, Chris O'Dowd, and Kat, Lena Dunham, working with him. Pete's enterprise is struggling financially as he promotes the reunion of Graham Parker and the Hearsay. The couple is also having to cope with their daughters, Sadie, now age 13, and 8-year-old Charlotte. For Debbie's birthday, the couple goes on a romantic weekend to a resort. There they get excessive from consuming marijuana cookies and fantasize out loud about methods they'd kill one another. After talking together with her mates Jason Segel, and Barb, Annie Mumolo, Debbie decides to enhance her marriage and household via train and turning into extra linked together with her dad and mom. Debbie tells Pete that he must cease lending his deadbeat father, Larry Albert Brooks, cash, as a result of it's hurting them financially. Pete goes to him, however, is unsuccessful at giving him the information, and nonetheless agrees to offer him cash. In the meantime, Debbie visits her gynecologist, Tim Bagley, and discovers that she is pregnant. She decides to not inform Pete about this. Later, Debbie yells at a scholar, named Joseph, Ryan Lee, who has been bullying and taunting Sadie. She yells at him a lot that Joseph's mom, Catherine, Melissa McCarthy, will get into an argument with Pete. They later have a gathering with the principal, however, the couple denies every part that occurred. The couple is overjoyed when Catherine begins utilizing the identical language they used beforehand and the principal dismisses them. One evening between the varsity taunting sequences, Debbie takes Daisy out dancing at a membership, planning to confront her together with her suspicions that she has been stealing cash from the shop. Debbie and Daisy meet a number of gamers from the Philadelphia Flyers hockey workforce at the pub. Debbie awkwardly finds out that one of many gamers desires to hang around together with her and probably sleep together with her. She is proud that he desires to have intercourse together with her, however, admits that she is married, has 2 youngsters, and is pregnant. Afterward, Debbie drops Daisy off at her home and confronts her concerning the lacking cash. Daisy reveals she is ready to afford good issues as a result of she can also be an escort. Later, Debbie meets up with Jodie, who confesses that she was the one who stole the cash to purchase OxyContin. Debbie fires her and leaves. In the meantime, Pete and Debbie are having to cope with Sadie and Charlotte combating on a regular basis, which ends up in arguments between the household. At Pete's 40th party, he argues along with his dad, Larry, concerning the cash he desires from them. Debbie argues together with her personal dad, Oliver, John Lithgow, about not spending sufficient a lot of time in her life, and the way his is ideal. Oliver then explains that his life shouldn't be good, and the way he has all the time cared about her and beloved her. Later, Pete overhears Debbie speaking about her being pregnant, and rides out of the home on his bicycle in anger. Debbie and Larry then go after Pete, looking for him. Quickly, they discover that he wrecked after hitting his head on an automotive door. Pete then will get into an argument with the motive force of the automotive who then punches him within the abdomen. Debbie and Larry take Pete to the hospital, the place Larry and Debbie reconcile, with Larry advising Debbie that it is due to her, that she retains the household collectively. Debbie and Pete speak later and Pete explains that he's truly thrilled about having a 3rd child and that he would not really feel trapped, so the two reconcile. Someday later, Pete and Debbie are watching a small live performance with Ryan Adams performing. Debbie then means that Pete ought to signal him to his label and plan to speak to him as they end up watching the present. After the primary credit roll, there's a prolonged alternate take of Catherine ad-libbing insults throughout the dialogue with Debbie, Pete, and the principal. Summaries: Pete and Debbie are each about to show 40. Their youngsters hate one another. Each of their companies is failing. They're on the verge of shedding their home, and their relationship is threatening to collapse. Pete, Paul Rudd, and Debbie, Leslie Mann, are turning 40. However, as an alternative to celebrating, they're mired in a midlife disaster with unruly youngsters, debt, and unhappiness mounting. Pete's document label is failing and Debbie is unable to come back to phrases together with her growing older physique. As Pete's 40th party arrives, Pete and Debbie are going to should depend on household, mates, staff, health trainers, growing older rockers, and finally one another to come back to phrases with life at age 40. Because the film opens, Debbie is popping 40 however tells everyone she's youthful. She runs a small, boutique clothes retailer that is breaking even financially, whereas Pete manages a retro-minded indie music label that is underneath severe monetary pressure simply as they're making an attempt to launch a brand new album by Graham Parker. Their cash troubles are compounded by Pete's dad Larry, Albert Brooks, who regularly hits up his son for money as a result of he has toddler triplets after an excessively profitable fertilization remedy along with his youthful second spouse. Debbie has daddy points as nicely. Her father, John Lithgow, an emotionally chilly, extremely profitable surgeon, appears to need no part of his daughter's life, though they meet for lunch often after not speaking to one another for a prolonged time period. All of those individuals, together with Debbie's coach, Pete's staff, and salesgirls from Debbie's boutique, arrive at the couple's stunning house for a party. The place all of the familial wounds are opened. This is 40 Feet. 4.5 stars, out of 5, Judd Apatow's spin-off sequel to his 2007 hit comedy, Knocked Up. This movie focuses on the two major supporting characters from that movie, reasonably than the two leads, Pete and Debbie, about 5 years after the occasions of that movie. It offers Debbie's points with getting older in addition to marriage and household life. The movie stars Paul Rudd and Apatow's spouse, Leslie Mann, reprising their roles from Apatow's prior movie in addition to Judd and Leslie's two daughters, Maud and Iris Apatow, taking part in their youngsters as soon as Once More. It additionally options supporting turns from Albert Brooks, John Lithgow, Megan Fox, Jason Segel, Chris O'Dowd, and Melissa McCarthy, in addition to many others. The movie feels a little bit like 2 hours and 13 minutes of continuous improvised skits, with numerous actual life dramas and Apatow magic labored in as nicely. Maybe a little bit overwhelming for some, however I beloved it. The movie begins with each Pete and Debbie making ready for his or her 40th birthday. They're nonetheless married, however consistently combating. Their two daughters are consistently arguing as nicely, though the 8-year-old, Charlotte, Iris Apatow, solely desires her 13-year-old sister, Sadie, Maud Apatow, to have extra enjoyment. Sadie is crushing on a boy from faculty and obsessing over the TV present, Lost. Pete simply began a document label that is failing to result from his obsession with previous rock stars, like Graham Parker, which he is consistently making an attempt to assist. Deb, BIE, owns a boutique that is lacking an excessive amount of cash, and she or he suspects her sizzling youthful worker, Megan Fox, of stealing it. So as to add to the couple's monetary troubles, Pete's down on his luck father, Brooks, is continually borrowing cash from them, and Debbie's profitable father, Lithgow, is all the time absent. Together with Kevin Smith, I believe Judd Apatow is likely one of the greatest comedy drama filmmakers on the market. His motion pictures all the time have an approach of delivering massive laughs in addition to being equally true on an emotional and dramatic stage. He is truly a little bit extra spectacular than Smith as a director, however not fairly his equal as an author. Apatow clearly depends much more on his actors' comedic skills for improvisation expertise reasonably than giving them the form of genius dialogue that Smith supplies his actors with. With this movie, he appears to have relied a little bit an excessive amount on his actors' enhanced expertise, although because the film is probably a little bit an excessive amount of a very good factor. Like all his movies, some scenes go on for too lengthy and the story appears aimless at instances, however this movie takes it to a barely completely different stage. It is nonetheless hilarious fairly incessantly, although and simply as emotionally touching and true to life. Apatow has stated that this movie is a love letter to his spouse, and I believe on that stage it positively works. Like all nice administrators, Apatow simply wants somebody to rein him in a little bit and never be given such limitless management. You may say he is like a comedic Peter Jackson. Nonetheless, The film works for probably the most half and delivers every part you anticipate from a Judd Apatow movie, simply possibly a little bit an excessive amount of it. This Is 40 is a 2012 American comedy movie written and directed by Judd Apatow and starring Paul Rudd and Leslie Mann. A spin-off of Apatow's 2007 movie Knocked Up, it centered around married couple Pete, Rudd, and Debbie, Mann, characters launched within the earlier movie, whose demanding relationship is compounded by every turning 40. John Lithgow, Megan Fox, and Albert Brooks seem in supporting roles. Filming was performed in mid-2011, and This Is 40 was launched in North America on December 21, 2012. It acquired combined opinions from critics, who praised its solid appearance, notably Mann, Rudd, and Fox, and the movie's comedic moments and perceptive scenes, however, criticized its overlong operating time and occasional aimlessness. Launch This Is 40 was initially scheduled to be launched on June 1, 2012. In May 2011, Common postponed the discharge to December 2012, permitting the studio to make use of that date for his or her launch of Snow White and the Huntsman. The Snow White movie was seen as higher competitors with a rival 2012 Snow White movie Mission, Mirror Mirror, by Relativity Media. The premiere for This Is 40 was held on December 12, 2012, at the Grauman's Chinese Language Theater, in Los Angeles. The movie was launched on December 21, 2012, opening in 2,912 places nationwide. Plot: within the 5 years since Knocked Up, Debbie owns a boutique, and Daisy and Jody work for her. Pete owns his personal document label, and his mates Ronnie and Kat work with him. Pete's enterprise is struggling financially as he promotes the reunion of Graham Parker and The Hearsay. The couple is also having to cope with their daughters, Sadie, a younger teenager, and 8-year-old Charlotte. For Debbie's 40th birthday, the couple goes on a romantic weekend to a resort. There they get excessive on marijuana cookies and fantasize out loud about methods they'd kill one another. After talking together with her mates Jason and Barb, Debbie decides to enhance her marriage and household via train, and turn into an extra link together with her father. She tells Pete he must cease lending his dad Larry, Albert Brooks, cash, as a result of it's hurting them financially. Pete goes to him, however, is unsuccessful at giving him the information, and nonetheless agrees to offer him extra. In the meantime, Debbie visits her gynecologist, discovering she is pregnant, however, decides to not inform Pete. Later, she yells at a scholar, Joseph, who has been taunting Sadie a lot, so his mom, Catherine, will get into an argument with Pete. One evening between the varsity taunting sequences, Debbie takes Daisy out dancing at a membership, planning to confront her together with her suspicions that she has been stealing cash from the shop. Debbie and Daisy meet a number of gamers from the Philadelphia Flyers hockey workforce there. Debbie awkwardly finds out that one of many gamers desires to hang around together with her and probably sleep together with her. Proud that he desires to have intercourse together with her, however, she admits that she is married, has 2 youngsters, and is pregnant. Afterward, Debbie drops Daisy off at her home, lastly confronting her concerning the lacking cash. Daisy reveals she is ready to afford good issues as a result of she can also be an escort. Later, Debbie meets up with Jody, who confesses she stole the cash to purchase OxyContin. She fires her and leaves. In the meantime, Pete and Debbie are having to cope with Sadie and Charlotte combating on a regular basis, leading to arguments amid the household. They later have to satisfy the principal, however, the couple denies every part Catherine accuses them of doing. The couple is overjoyed when she begins utilizing the identical foul language they'd used beforehand, and the principal dismisses them.